So here we are at the Daintree River. A bit of a camp up the top here. My unit's there, you can only just see the top of it. It's the Daintree Lodge and Caravan Park. Sorry about the camera, trying to work it out. Here we go, sorry about that. So I'm going on the Greater Daintree Wildlife Cruise. Cheap as chips. That's the unit we'll be going on. Up the Daintree River. What do you reckon about that? So I'll whack a few videos together and we'll check the adventure out, eh? And we're off on the Daintree River Cruise.
Last Friday my last day of work, and I was up around the corner there was a carcass of a cow floating in the river. It was a big one too, so I don't know where it came from, but anyway, I wouldn't mind betting that it died from something else. And anyway, I half expected to see a bit of action up there, but nobody was eating it or doing anything with it, so we'll go up the stream and see if it's still around. We have to have a lot of real big tides to make it float away. Not usually that much interaction between cattle and crocodiles, but there's a dead one in the water. It's warm enough to, crocodiles are a little bit like, how would you call them, vultures or scavengers. They'll have a go, but if they're not hungry or if it's too cold to digest, they won't. So.
Lovely river.
Blue sky starting to poke through there. So
Here we go, just passing the Stewart River.
ultimately that's what crocodiles will eat.
This is the Daintree here, and this is the Stewart River. I'm just going to go up and have a quick squiz.
The last night's tide got to, so it gets bigger tides at the night time. By and large, it's just as shallow as the Daintree, if not worse. So I'll just sneak along the side here and see if I can see anybody underneath the trees.
What's this right in front of us here on
Yeah, a
the
little bit of debris there.
just debris?
Crocodile. Very rarely do you get the crocodiles in the middle. Usually that's the most shallow spot, actually. They like to be in those little big pools close to the riverbank. So here you've got plenty of place to hide, and this is what it's all about. It's all about not being seen.
So this bridge here is supposedly 8 metres high at low tide. The floods were 16 metres, so it was 8 metres over the top of this in the floods.
3 bridges across Stewart's Creek, but not a single one over the Daintree. So this was the industry or the place to be, back in the 1920s. So all these bridges, that bridge got replaced in 1962, so it was an old wooden one before that. Yeah, I drove up there yesterday. Yeah.
There's a little croc. Here's a little croc in the Daintree. I don't know if you can see it. A bit hard to see, it's under the water there.
Yeah, it's all about
that's stealth. That's how stealth they are.
The crocodiles will be much better at determining that than you and me, but I think it's warmer in the water. If you ever been on the beach on a rainy day,
there's a dead cow on the side of the river. The crocodiles haven't eaten it yet because it's too cool for them to digest it. I know it's a bit horrible, but that's nature.
might have died in giving calf or something.
It could be, although it's definitely not a cow that the farmer would sell for meat because she's got horns. Yeah, I'd say it's either a snake bite or giving birth, something's killed her and she just walked off into the water, I'd say.
Oh, it's fine.
She's washed up. Not even sure this cow. With the fig trees in the field, so yeah.
There's a little offshoot.
This will, in springtime, become Lover's Lane for crocodiles. Because there's no real place for crocodiles to sit.
Call it Lover's Lane.
No one's any territorial in it.
Can't see any crocs.
Springtime, it's starting to get warm weather, so this is a bit of, it's a coolish but not too cold spot. It's been very, very quiet, I think, because normally there's getting in here full of weed bed and seagrass, but all this very fine sand is lying on top of it and it's killed them all. I don't think there's a lot of tucker in here. Normally you see tarpon and things like that jumping around the place. I think we're just going to have to be a little bit more patient and wait. Maybe taro's coming back. That is all full of them all through here. Not edible taro, but that's certainly very similar. But yeah, sand makes things sterile. Even the birding and ducks aren't as about the firewood as they used to be.
Little offshoot from the Daintree River.
Some circles, dingoes are considered not a native dog.
Burdekin
Which I
ducks.
find just bizarre because they've been on the continent for the last 40,000 years. So,
Yeah, but you can't say the same of pigs and stuff. I mean, Cook released them, you know over 200 years ago.
Your ostrich farms they used to have in South Australia years ago, and they've all gone, they just basically left the doors open and the ostriches went wild because half of them went broke. So you will see ostriches now running around, but in some bird books they're considered native birds now.
My name's Jed. I'm going to be your skipper now for an hour, so just feel free to ask me anything as we can cruise around. So guys, I'll give you a bit of an idea where we are on the river. So the Daintree River, it is about 140 kilometres long. We're about 8 or 9 kilometres inside the mouth of the river right here. So the mouth of the ocean's back that way behind the ferry. And it is tidal, it's still very salty here. All of our mangrove forests, they grow down this end in the salt. And yeah, so we're on a falling tide now, heading down to our low. If any of you is going to do our other cruise up the top there, some of you may have. Anyone done that one?
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, that's all in the fresh water up there and the rainforest end. And we're in the salt and the mangroves here. So, but even though it's fresh water up there, don't ever let that fool you. The saltwater crocodiles, they'll live in either. Yeah, so yeah, the salinity of the water doesn't matter. They'll live in either, you know. It's all about the temperature of the water. So we've just got to pick a couple up that come down from our other cruise that we're on a bit late. We'll do a circle. will see a bit of flood damage as you go around. We've lost a lot of nature strip along a lot of these banks to our side when the cyclone hit. So yeah, when it hit here, I don't know, they might have sold up the top, but yeah, we had 3 metres of rain here in sort of 4 days. So this river went to an all-time high, about 17.5 metres. The highest has never been recorded before that, back in 1912 with 14. So we beat it by 3.5 metres. It was pretty a hell of a lot of water. So to give you a bit of an idea, you know, a bus it goes out this over that side there, goes out. I don't know how far, a fair way anyway. But it takes about a 10 or 11 metre sort of flood to break this bank. But anyway, it did. So it went right out past the highway out there where you turned in to come here, right to the mountain range there. And if you take notice when you leave, there's a couple of houses right on the turn off there. Those houses out there, about 4k out, they were underwater. So yeah, it's a bit hard to imagine how much water there was.
That's what makes this country, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. 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 It's in the Daintree village up there for about 12 days, 13 days or something. But when it stops raining, it sort of gets away, you know, it takes about probably 4 days for it to come from the head sort of through. So, you know, when it stops, it gets away in about sort of 4 or 5 days. So,
When we have a lot of floods, a lot of rain, that head of the catchment, which is a huge area, yeah, it can take 2 weeks to get to.
yeah. Yeah, it's about, from the head of this one, it takes about 3 days to come through. 3 or 4 days down here. Yeah. Wild roof there, you can see that's a brick home there. They got rescued off their roof at about 2:30 that morning when the big rush come down. This house that we're coming up to is built on stilts. It's only about 2-year-old, but it was built above the 14 metre mark. So, you know, that was the highest ever record. So, but yeah, it wasn't high enough now. So I went over the eaves on this house easy. Yeah.
19 metres where I live.
Okay.
19 metres where I live.
19 metres.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's that?
Ipswich.
Ipswich.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty much.
Yeah. Went over my gutters, and my house is 13 above river level.
Yeah.
That's to the ground.
Yeah, to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know that when they put that one there, a lot of people said, oh, it's built right there on the river, but the verandas are above the 14 metres, which,
Yep.
you know, they're talking back in 1912, the last, you know, it's long, you know, you'd think you'd be pretty right, but anyway, we've got a new record now.
Yeah.
New recorded record anyway. Definitely changed our landscape along the river here. Sort of not as pristine looking as it used to be, you know. Sort of right through the Daintree, pretty damaged. At that time, or the greater egret they call him. One of the fishermen on the river. Always living on the edge. Found a green, it was a nice green tree snake. Tree snake. Sitting up. Yeah. Put a blue light on him. See my blue light? He's right there.
Good to spot him.
I was looking through my binoculars and had a bit of a scope along there, and there he was. They're a beautiful snake. They're really real dark green, nearly black a lot of the time, but they got a bright fluorescent yellow belly. They're all been shedding the skin at the moment, so some of them are probably lifting a bit. They're probably not as bright a colour as they. Not a bad size though. They're usually quite a long snake too, long skinny snake. They usually, a lot of the time when you come close like this, they'll sit their head up and have a bit of a look. Yeah, so that, his belly, he's starting to lift his skin, so he's not quite as pretty as he normally would be when he's
What tree is that tree called?
Aye.
What tree is that tree called?
Yeah, that's a one of the milky pines, they call it. Looks nothing like a pine tree. No, with the bright orange chest.
Yeah. Yep.
Hopefully he'll turn around for us. He's got his eyes on something, I'd say. If you watch his little head, this fella, he bobs up and down like he's got the hiccups all the time. They all do it.
Is that a green ant that's up there too?
Yeah, that's it. And them leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's them. Yeah, that's the one with the little green bum on him.
Yeah.
Little, they make a bit of a like a caveat. Like, yeah, good on steak. That's running out. When we get our bigger tides, a lot of tea tree up in there, and it brings out all the tannin. And there's a bit of a hole just here. And yeah, when it's running out in the dirty water, sort of the bait fish and that sit under the dirty water. The barrows sit under them.
So you run a net around here?
Yeah, well, I get shot if I don't have the Daintree. Yeah, there's his mate. He's got his back to us too. There he goes, there's a bit of colour.
Are they like most birds with males and colourful?
No, the kingfishers, pretty much the male and female, these are the same. The female's just a little bit smaller. That's the only way you can tell them in the kingfishers. I think the sacred kingfisher's the same. They're both the same colour.
Yeah.
The little kingfisher, yeah, they're all. So out of the ones we see on the river, we got this fella, the azure, we get the sacred, and then there's a little kingfisher. He's only about half that size, fully grown. He's a little ripper, he's a little bit elusive though. But out of all of our kingfishers, right from the kookaburra right down to the little, most of the others, they're fishermen too, but they'll forage a little bit in the forest and stuff. This little fella, the azure, he's just a dedicated fisherman, that's all he does. So this is where you'll find him, about that distance above the water. He nests in the riverbank as well. This is our big alpha male. I don't know whether I told you about him, but we call him Scarface. He's about 4.5 metres long and 600 kilo. Got one of his girlfriends here with him too. The Scarface, he's been the alpha male here for just on 30 years now. It's pretty rare for a crocodile to sort of stay at the top for that long. And especially Scarface too, because he's got no teeth. He hadn't had teeth for the last 10 or 12 years or more. I've seen photos of him from 10 years ago and he had about 3 or 4 teeth then. So he's used all his teeth up. They get about 20 sets in their lifetime as well. Their name's Dusty. And Dusty is Scarface's favourite. He definitely has a favourite. He spends way more time laying around with her than any other crocodile. And that's been happening for the last 20 years, they tell me, the old timers. She's about 35 years old. Scarface is up in his 70s, sort of 70, 75. Yeah, he's still going strong. He's still the boss, even without teeth. There's a couple other big young males getting big though. There's one fellow called Bender down the river here. He's over 4 metres now, but I've seen Scarface chasing him down a couple of weeks ago, so he's still got their luck on him yet. No, it's all left for nature here. They pretty much left alone. Crocodiles here, the numbers don't change much. They seem to look after themselves. It's all about their food supply. Here on the Daintree, how it sort of works, for every 5 or 6 k's of river, you'll always have one big alpha. You'll have maybe 6 or 8 of these females. Then the female's very territorial within that 5 kilometres. And what he does, he just cruises up and down, he visits them along the way like he's doing. And, she's got a big fat belly, she's had something big last night, yeah, so they've actually got quite a small stomach.
Sorry about that.
But, yeah, so a couple of
photography.
Fish every night, that's pretty much, that's when they're very active and do most of their fishing at night. But they've got this way, they've got the strongest gut acid of anything that lives, so they can digest quite quickly. So they, when they do get a big meal, like a feral pig or anything, which they quite regularly do here, there's a lot of pigs about, they store the fat in their tail, in that big base of their tail, and they can go for 8 or 10 months. So when there's a lot of fish about, they can sort of gorge it, digest it, store the fat, and then 8 or 10 months they don't have to really eat. Retired now and he's handed his licence in, so that will, that'll be interesting to see. Our fishing sort of should get better, if not, should get better, not worse here.
Yeah. They're very quick on the land.
Yeah, but only for a very short distance, so that's why, you won't find them any further than 4 or 5 metres away from their water usually, so for them, they need to be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and sort of hit their water, because this is their safe place. But you can you can outrun a croc on the land, but in the water, different story. They can swim about 25 kilometres an hour, so very fast. That's like 12 knots or something. That's going. They get going with their tail, and they get a bit of a dolphin motion going, and they are super fast. Yeah, and explosive too. Like they go 2 lengths of this boat, big fella like that, chasing a young male. In a couple of seconds, like bang. Yeah, they're pretty quick. Keep our eyes out along here. I found a little 2-year-old along this next little stretch here before. Trying to remember where it was now. Yeah, just about 2-year-old. They're sort of our littlest crocodiles on the river. We've lost the nest here to the floods the last 2 years running. Normally this time of year we'd have a lot of new little hatchlings getting around, so these little crocs, guys, they've only got like a 1 or 2% survival rate too. So, out of every 100 of these little fellas, only ever maybe 1 or 2 make it to an adult. So what happens when they're little, for the first 12 months they're very vulnerable. So, the barramundi will take a few when they're little, like they're only 6 inches long when they're born. Barramundi take a few, the bull sharks, but the ones that really clean them up in the first 6 to 12 months, believe it or not, are the birds. They're their biggest predator. Put a little crocodile. Every time we want to pull up the wings,
Sorry about the photography.
Yeah, pretty, their teeth very sharp. I I don't know what the strength of a young crocodile, little crocodile like this is, but a crocodile has the strongest bite of anything that lives. So I'm sure he'd probably, yeah, he'd do a fair damage to a hand, I reckon.
I know up down at the Rocky, they actually take them out. So
Yeah.
even when they come out of the shell.
Even when they're little, yeah, because they are super sharp, them teeth when they're little. Yeah, so you got your, you know, a 4 metre crocodile like Scarface, they talk about 5,000 to 5,500 pounds per square inch of bite force. A 3 metre female, like the little female there, about 3,000. So, yeah, like even if he bit you on the leg without his teeth, he'd still be able to crush the bone in your leg, you know, there's that much power. So, old Scarface, without any teeth, whenever he gets a feral pig or anything, which he does quite regularly, he sticks her up here in Stinky Creek, and then he'll guard it for sort of 3 or 4 days, and doesn't let anyone else near it. And then he'll bring it out, and he's got a bit of a spot up here he often goes to, and he just smashes it around, and it becomes a part a bit easier for him. It still takes him a bit of a process, a couple of days, but he gets through it eventually.
Sorry, he has a question.
Yeah.
Can crocodiles jump out of the water, and how far can they go?
Yes, so they do naturally jump in the wild, and they can come right out of the water the full length of their body pretty much to the tip of their tail with their back legs hanging. I saw one of our females up here last year. She come out of the water, and I just missed it, but one of the other fellas seen it coming around the corner, 2 big pythons mating in the tree. And she came out of the water, spoiled the whole show, and she got one of them. One got away, yeah, about a 4 metre, 5 metre python it was, a big scrub python. So yeah, they do naturally jump in the wild, so we don't have to teach them to jump. I'm pretty sure, I don't know whether they have sometimes over in the territory where they do a little cull or not, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they're still all protected there. Since 1972. They just had their school centenary up here at the Daintree only a few weeks ago, and you know, there was photos and that in, I think it was about 1971. So that's right at the end where they were just pretty much shot to extinction up here anyway. And yeah, there's photos on there. They used to have the kids would go down to the boat ramp where we do our other cruise from, and that's where they do swimming carnival. And yeah, they just fire a couple of shots in the water, and that's where the kids would swim. So back then, that shows you, know, all the big ones were probably shot out, and any little ones that were probably around, they were probably gunshot. So yeah, that's what they used to do. You wouldn't do it now. Salty, yeah. Salt water goes up sort of another about 3 or 4 k's, and then it's sort of brackish up there about another 2 or 3 k's up. But yeah, normally very salty here, until the last summer course and the rain. Yeah, you can still catch a mud crab here, salty enough. Starting to run out of water in here, but we'll get in a little bit anyway. So this is a bit of a mangrove island here on our right hand side. So you know, everything you can see, every tree growing here pretty much is a mangrove from one side to another. There's 69 different species of mangrove in the world. We've got 37 of them that grow here, so there's nowhere else in the world where there's that many different species of mangrove. Hey? No, not at the moment. Another one of Scarface's ladies up on the bank up here. Nice and high and dry. Her favourite winter spot. This one we call a scooter, this one. So when we get close, you'll be able to see all the things on a crocodile's tail, they're called scoots. So she's missing a couple of scoots. She's got a couple of gaps in the tail. She's a nice sort of goldy colour scooter. So when it comes down to the nitty gritty of it, guys, telling crocodiles apart, you can tell every individual crocodile, the pattern on their tails just like our fingerprints. There are no two crocodiles the same. You can usually tell by that, about a foot beyond that back leg, on that biggest part of the tail.
Well, how do you know that's a female? Just because of the size?
Yeah, well, the girls won't grow any bigger than about 3 metres, like a bit over. It's only really, they can be a bit hard to tell, but a male crocodile of that size, that length, would have, they get a bit more of a bull head on them and a bit of a jowly around the neck. They get that bit of a bigger roll. 24. The reason we know that, the DPI did take them scoots off her years ago when she was a little crocodile. They were doing some DNA testing and stuff here. They don't do it anymore here in the Daintree, but yeah, if you cut a crocodile scoot on the angle, you can count the rings in it just like a tree. You can tell how old the crocodile is. So yeah, we know for that reason that she's exactly 24 years old this year, Scooter. Tide, a lot of sandbars and that. The Daintree River, they only average it at about 1.5 metres deep over the whole 140 k's. So it is on a low tide, you can be a navigator's nightmare. But there is a bit of a current line, a lot of deep holes on the bends, and like expected on the forest edges up in the rainforest there, it's pretty deep. But predominantly across the middle, she's quite wide but very shallow. Live is the best in the river here, they seem to work the best. But yeah, you can still catch sparrow and your jacks and that on the lure around the snag. Yeah, but winter time here, we want to go with prawns. Yeah, they feed on prawns in the winter. They go a bit salty in the winter when it gets cold, but they still catch them on the prawns. But in the summertime, yeah, if you can get a livey, stick him out. They go pretty good on them.
Sorry about the photography. My phone is playing up something shocking.